Heyo, welcome everyone to Today in the Scene by Indie Arcade Wave. I'm Joe, your host, and here on In the Scene, we talk about what's going on in the arcade space, from new arcade developers, arcade owners and operators, and just news in the space in general. Now, the Indie Arcade Wave website is available now. You can go check out any indie game that you're interested in adding to your personal collection in the basement, garage, and or arcade. Just let me know which one you're interested in, and we'll connect you with the people you need to be connected with. Now, we've got something special today, not exactly arcade or developer related, more music related, but a good friend of mine from a very long time ago, Theology, is joining us, talk about kind of how video games have influenced him to move into the music space and how he's kind of mixed his two passions into one. How you doing?
I am wonderful. How are you, Joe?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm glad to have you on and chat about this finally. Let's just kind of start with who is Theology? Who is Bentley? Like, let us know about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So Theology is a project I started that does club ready video game remixes, focuses on mental health activism, and through those things, we try to unlock God mode as a community. So I make all styles of EDM. I started off in the trance scene with my tracks being supported by people like Above and Beyond, Cosmic Gate, Fatum, Roman Messer, etc. And now I will make anything and everything under the sun: dubstep, trance, house, rhythm, drum and bass, techno, you name it. But it's all video game remixes. So that is who Theology is.
Yeah, and I guess to give a little backstory on us, how we met. He was my server at Perkins in seventh grade, and I bought his first ever trance CD, and
Classic.
still have it.
It's so
We
funny.
reconnected through conventions and video games and stuff like that. So let's jump into, I guess, your history with video games. Like, where did it all start? What are some of your earliest memories?
Yeah, so actually my second memory in my entire life is watching my brother play Donkey Kong Country and hearing Ice Cave chant. Um, the Donkey Kong Country series is insanely special to me because of the musical aspect of it. But I've been playing all sorts of games throughout my whole childhood. I remember I had a friend named Richard who would come over and we would do a Super Smash Brothers tournament every Saturday. That's back when Melee was popular. I collect Metroid games as well. So I'm very, very, very into the whole Metroid universe, Samus, all the music there. I cried when the Metroid Prime 4 trailer came out because I've been waiting for years for that. Um, and of course, Zelda, Final Fantasy, pretty much any game that has a really good story, has really good music, has really good problem solving. I'm all about. So, yeah, the there is another one too that I really like the music from, and it is called the New Tetris for Nintendo 64. I only bring that up because I'm writing a script about it right now for my "What Video Games Taught Me About My Mental Health" series on YouTube. So yeah, those are kind of some of the classics. I feel like a lot of us grew up with those. Uh, but I should mention also Secret of Mana. Duh. So I am remixing the entire soundtrack right now for Secret of Mana. I am, let's see, I'm 2/3 of the way through. I'm actually having my Let's Listen on Bonus Stage Van tonight. Well, the day that we're recording this, that is. And that album comes out on the 5th of September, which I am beyond excited about. And I'm already working on phase three. I've got, let's see, 14 more tracks to do out of 45. So, yeah, the project is coming along quite nicely.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge catalog just from one game to have 45 songs to work on and remix.
Especially in the Super Nintendo days. Like, yeah,
Yeah, there's not a ton of space on that cartridge, so like getting all that music on there is pretty impressive. And it
it's
seems like
very impressive.
it's clear that you like, like a first person shooter like RPG kind of style. I mean, I guess Metroid is kind of a mix of that, but the rest of the
Yeah,
games are
yeah,
mostly like an RPG,
right.
dungeon crawler kind of space, and
Yes,
that makes a lot of sense. Those are some of the most sought after games from that era, and some of the most expensive games on those systems.
hmm
That's what people are looking for. They're still making new Zelda games and new Metroid games because it's such a good franchise, and
right. It's what the people
I
want.
love them too. I haven't beat as many of them as you
Yeah.
have. My wife has beaten more Zelda games than I have, but I
Nice.
still have them.
Yeah.
let's talk about kind of how you got into the convention space. So obviously you were playing shows, you've toured internationally, you've played shows in different
Yep.
countries and stuff. How did you get into the convention space and kind of cross over from what you were doing into like video game focused stuff?
Yeah, this is this is going to be a long-winded response because there's so many layers to the onion. Well, like I said before, I was in the the mainstream EDM scene, specifically in the trance world, and I was getting to a point in my production career where producing wasn't fun anymore because I was trying to suck up to all these label gatekeepers who always wanted me to change my art into something that their label could commodify, right? Obviously, it's a business. That's how it is. I'm not mad at them for that. Yet, I felt like I was trapped in this metal box that I couldn't get out of. And that was detrimental to me as an artist. Okay. Keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind, I have been remixing video game songs for years. My first one that I ever did was this like really terrible remix of Dire Dire Docks with my friend Kevin, who sort of got me into casually listening to video game music back in the day when we were in like eighth grade. Uh, that said, how did I get into the convention space? Well, I released an album in 2020 during the pandemic called Trapped in a World Between Beauty and Bass. Now, I had, let's see, 3 video game remixes on that album. So there was my Secret of the Forest remix from Chrono Trigger. There was my Link's Awakening Sword Search remix. And then there was my Mining Melancholy remix from Donkey Kong Country 2. So I put those into this album amongst a bunch of other original tunes that I had made. And I sent the album to my brother pre-release for him to listen to. And he was like, dude, your video game remixes are awesome. You should just focus on that. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. Like, that might be a little hard to do with like legalities and whatnot. Come to find out, it's actually really easy. But that said, I kind of took his words to heart after a while. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should do this. Then around the same time, and this is so serendipitous because, I used to serve you at Perkins, right? Well, the guy who started VGM Con, Thomas, I used to serve him at Longfellow Grill, which is a restaurant in Minneapolis. It's sort of on the Mississippi River, right where the border of Minneapolis and St. Paul are. And he, out of the blue, messages me and he's like, hey, do you want to DJ at this convention that I do? It's all online. Obviously it was the pandemic, so it had to be online. Uh, and I was like, yeah, I've always kind of wanted to do a convention. I think that would be really fun to just play a set that's all video game remixes. Like, yeah, count me in, dude. So that's how I played my first VGM con. And, I wasn't necessarily fully gung ho about only doing video game remixes at this time, but when I saw the response of the chat during that set, I was like, oh, like this could have a future. Like these people are into this. Um, and yeah, it was sort of that moment that convinced me to like go full force straight into it. So from there, I was like, well, I did this convention. Maybe there's some more that I could play at. So I went on this list of conventions and I serially messaged them, right? It was sort of like almost like Tinder. I like copied and pasted an email script, put in every single email, right? Well, I did them individually, obviously, but yeah, so I messaged a bunch of them. Most of them didn't get back to me. Some did though. I went to every single one of those conventions and I played DJ sets. One of those was 2D Con here in Minnesota. And yeah, the story behind that one is also interesting, but that would be for another podcast about how I sort of got involved with 2D Con. But long story short, I did. And now they sort of give me the platform of resident DJ and they allow me to do mental health panels, which I did 2 this year. And they were insanely fulfilling. Packed rooms, well, almost a packed room for my solo one, but then for sure a packed room with the one that I did with the Baldur's Gate 3 voice actors. Um, so yeah, it's just kind of become this beautiful space in where I can rage and do my art, and we can have a great time partying, but then we can also get real and talk about deeper things with each other in these panels about mental health. And I relate them all to video games, right? So the series about what video games taught me about my mental health, we basically go through the storylines of video games, or we study video game character arcs, or we even talk about things like, again, I'm writing a script about the new Tetris 64 right now, and how life is like several games of Tetris. um, it's a really cool thing to do because I feel like the gamer space is sort of overlooked, and they're kind of ostracized, like gamers are made fun of a lot, and that's really, I don't know. I think it's illogical and dumb that that is a thing. So yeah, I'm going in and I'm saying, hey, let's talk about these things because, not only is it cool to get real, but it can be really fun too when you are impacting somebody else's lives, you know? And I'm not saying me impacting other people's lives. I'm saying like when the conversation is like in the room in these panels and people are talking to each other like in the audience, right? In the crowd. That is what I want to see because I don't have like a psychology degree or anything like that. I'm just very passionate about this subject. And so when I see people in the crowds talking amongst themselves about these important issues, there's just nothing more beautiful than that, to me at least. So that's sort of how I got involved. And I'm really happy I did because the convention scene is beautiful. Um, I wish I discovered it earlier in my life, but for such a time as this, right?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the convention scene is awesome. I was a part of the rave scene before, and that kind of was really cool. And then it got really popular, and it kind of faded away. Like some of the things that I liked about it faded away.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I find that in conventions now, it's just a place where everybody goes to have a good time, play games, and there's so many pockets within it. I mean, like even at 2DCon, like you have a room that's dedicated to fighting games, you have a room that's dedicated to rhythm games, you have a
Yeah.
room that's dedicated to classic games and pinball and console
Arcade.
games
Yeah.
and retro. And it's like there are all these different groups of people that are coming together as one. And you even see like cosplayers and people that are there doing that. And it's like everybody can commingle and kind of get to know each other. Whether your views are the same or not, it's like most of the big like political views don't come up. You're just there to play games and hang out
Right.
and have a good time. And that's what I love about the space is it's you see that everywhere in the arcade. Like it's just people are there to get a hit of nostalgia. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
Is you're trying to play those old games, or like even if it's the fighting games, it's like stuff you haven't played since you were a kid or anything like that. And I think that's so cool that that's what you're focusing on, and you're kind of building up on like the mental health side of it because life isn't easy right now. It's harder
Right.
for us than it for a lot of people
Yes.
in the past. But let's kind of talk about what your plans are for the future and what you see in the future of theology. Um, like what conventions are on the list, and why do you want to keep doing this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the future of theology, well, musically, I do know this. I'm going to continue the Secret of Mana project until I'm done. And then after that, I'm going to remix DKC. I do want to have more involvement with this record label called Firaga. And then they have an imprint also called Kiraga, which is like a lo-fi side. Um, they're the first label in my entire DJing and producing career that has treated me properly as an artist, like, they've like paid me. They haven't stolen from me. They have they've given me development as an artist in my production sound. The guy who runs it, Robo Rob, he's a absolute G. He knows what he's doing very well. And he's not in it for, his own ego. He actually wants to see the artist that he is involved with improve, which I love. So that's kind of on the music side. I want to do that. More conventions in the list. Well, goodness. I mean, I played my first MagFest this year. It was amazing. The energy in the nightclub area, which we call Pose, unmatched. It was unreal. What a cool night to be alive, right? And to do what I do. Uh, I would like to do a main stage set though at MagFest because when I am DJing and doing a show, I am doing my own visuals at the same time. And rather than getting on a mic and yelling at the crowd, which, I'll do occasionally because it's fun, I have a lot of energy. What I do is I type messages on the screen to the audience, and they are typically mental health related. They relate to whatever video game song I'm playing. Uh, and this more intimate way of communicating with the crowd is a little bit deeper than just getting yelled at by a DJ to get your effing hands up, right? Um, I find that it does impact people and touch them on a deeper level. So I feel like main stage at MagFest would be like the perfect place to do a set like that. But beyond there, I don't know, like probably Colossal Con, Dragon Con. I know they're huge, but that would be really hard to get into. And then, I want to start, I guess, doing stuff like, these are lofty dreams, but, PAX, and what is it? GDC. Yeah. Yeah. Um, Stuff like that, where there's like, a lot of people. I feel like this message really does resonate with, people in the convention space. And I feel like if I just keep going with it, I'll be able to reach a lot more people with it. So, yeah, those are kind of some things that are on the horizon. I'm going to continue to DJ locally here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is my home. I adore it here. I absolutely love it. And yeah, I definitely will continue to do local shows. I run a company called Video Game Rave, or VG Empire, with my buddy Hate08. He moved here from Jacksonville, Florida, like I think in February. And yeah, we've been doing shows together since he got here, basically. So yeah, we're gonna be focusing on those things, and I'm really excited for the future. It's so bright in this scene. We're truly experiencing a renaissance in video game music and video game music remix artists. Um, and yeah, I'm just happy to be part of the wave.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's really cool, and I'm glad that you're kind of building around the convention space and the video game space. I mean, I feel like it's overlooked. Like you said, a lot of people in the gaming space are overlooked, which is kind of what I just thought about recently is
Sorry.
you're good. Like GameStop is selling retro stuff again. Like the
Yeah,
space got
right.
so
I saw that
big
the other day. Yeah,
that a monster like GameStop is like, oh shit, we should start selling the retro stuff that we were purging years ago. I mean, I
yeah,
remember when I was in there and they had like PlayStation 2, Xbox 360, GameCube stuff, just like discs only in the paper, and they were just purging it. It was like $1 a disc. Like, get rid of this
I
stuff.
know, man.
And some of those discs are worth hundreds now. So that's crazy to me. It's really all I had for you. So
Okay,
let's
yeah.
just shout out social medias. Where can people find you? Where can people follow along? Where can people listen to your music?
Sweet. So I put everything that I'm in that like I'm allowed to legally license onto Spotify. So you'll see everything there. Some of the more weird bootleg stuff I put on YouTube because YouTube is kind of the Wild West. Um, and I can get away with it. But also all the mental health videos are on YouTube as well. Um, I do like I mentioned earlier, what video games taught me about my mental health series. I do that every other month. And then I stagger it with a podcast called The Quest Within, where we talk about more general mental health topics. It's not always gamer focused. It is sometimes, but we want to have that freedom to talk about whatever we want to talk about, right? So you can find me there. My link tree is linktr.ee/theology music, and you will find all of my social media on there. So that's super easy to do. And then let's see, is there any other place that you could find me? Yeah, no, I guess just at a convention near you. Oh, I also have an official website, theologymusic.com. I have a whole merch store on there, as well as like you can, pay for a commission if you want a video game remix to be made. And then Patreon as well. There's some perks of me making you custom remixes if you sign up for like some of the higher level tiers. So
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna throw all that down in the description, so people can check it out. Thanks for
awesome.
coming
Thank
on,
you. Of
Theology.
course, Joe.
Appreciate it,
Dude,
man.
always good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's always good to see you at a show. You told me that you were playing at 2D Con on Thursday. I was there on Friday. I didn't even question it. I was like, I'm going. So,
Let's go.
made it work. For anybody that's still watching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us a ton. The wave will continue to grow, and we can all ride it together. Galactic Battleground is available for sale. Both the Konami and the tabletop version are on the Galactic Battleground website. Food Fight is on the way. We're talking with our manufacturers right now, still trying to get the cabinet figured out. T-shirts are available as well. And then don't forget about the website. If you're looking to grab an indie game to bring to your arcade, basement, garage, any of it, just let us know. We'll connect you with the developers and we'll go from there. But until next time, peace.